Hello, my name is Berlin Bantner, and I am competing in the POI event, and this is my recording for the CHSAA Region 1 state qualifying match. Thank you. Hello. Today I will be telling you of the short yet brave and courageous life of Sophie Scholl. This young woman was executed at the young age of 21, and she had more fire and determination to stand up for what she believed in than most other people in her exact same situation in history. This young woman, along with a handful of others, stood up against the Nazi regime, and unfortunately, they lost their lives for it. But it was not all for naught, for her fire has inspired others to follow a similar path and to take action against what is believed wrong or immoral. I present to you The White Rose. Through an article on the National World War II Museum titled Sophie Scholl and the White Rose, a poem by Cyrus Castles titled The Postcard of Sophie Scholl, an article on the Jewish Virtual Library titled Holocaust Resistance, The White Rose, a dissent by Jacob G. Hornberger, a poem by Robert Robrick titled Sophie Scholl, a poem called Stand Up for What You Believe in by Emma Edge, official quotes from Sophie Scholl, and another article titled Sophie, Hans remains symbol of resistance. I'm presenting to you the life and message of this young lady because I believe that people should be able to stand up for what they believe in and what they think is right, even if their opinions are not popular. Sophie was born in May of 1921, the fourth of 6 children to her parents, in an upper-middle-class family in the south of Germany. Robert, her father, was a mayor of Forchenberg, an idyllic town in northeastern of the modern state of Baden-Württemberg. When Sophie was 10, the family moved to Ulm, a mid-sized southern town dating back to the Middle Ages, where her father worked as a state auditor and tax consultant. After the Nazis came to power in January of 1933, Sophie, along with most of her siblings, were excited followers of the National Socialist cult of youth. The teenager believed in the ideals propagated at the time. Similar to many of their contemporaries, Sophie was particularly intrigued by nature and communal experiences. She joined the BDM, League of German Girls, and quickly rose in their ranks. Her parents, especially her father, did not like their involvement in the Nazi youth groups and made no secret about it. A critic from the party at the beginning, who had raised his family firmly on the grounds of Christian beliefs, Robert Scholl viewed the developments in Germany and their children's interest in Nazism with growing fear and horror. Lively discussions were a daily occurrence at the dinner table, teaching the children the value of honest conversation, a rarity at the time. Sophie's siblings, especially her oldest brother Hans, later became a founding member of the White Rose, were also members of non-Nazi groups of people. These associations shared and propagated a love for nature, outdoor adventures, as well as a love for art, music, and literature, especially that of the German Romanistic. Originally seen as compatible with Nazi ideology by many, these alternative groups were slowly dissolved and finally banned in 1936. Hans remained active in one such group, however, and was arrested in 1936 along with several of the Scholl siblings. This arrest left a mark on Sophie's conscience and began the process that turned her from an avid Nazi supporter to an active resistance fighter. Standing alone, facing the crowd, lost innocence, ideals crushed. No one believes in you. To them, you are the strange one, the one who knows nothing, the one who is warped beyond compare. Because you do not believe what they do, just because you believe in the goodness of people, that no one is the same, that everyone deserves a chance to be forgiven. A chance to try again, to do what is right, for them and for others. Even if you're standing alone, you are not really. Others believe what you do, but they are too scared to stand up. They do not want to be ridiculed like you do. In a way, you are stronger than them. Never be afraid to say what you believe. Your opinion is just as important as others. Never be afraid to stand up, to use your voice. Even if they don't agree, they will respect you in a way. Always stand up for what we believe in. Stand up and be strong. The real damage is done by those millions who want to survive, to the honest men who just want to be left in peace, those who don't want their little lives disturbed by anything outside of themselves, those with no sides and no causes, those who won't take measure of their own strength for fear of antagonizing their own weaknesses, those who don't like to make waves or enemies, those for freedom, honor, truth, and principles, or only literature, those who live small, mate small, die small. It's the reductionist approach to life. If you keep small, if you keep it under control, if you won't make any noise, the boogeyman won't find you. But it's all an illusion because they died too. Those people who roll their spirits up into little balls. Safe? Safe from what? Life is always on the edge of death. Narrow streets lead to the same ones as wide alleys, and a little torch burns out the same as a big flame. I choose my own way to burn. The young intrepid resist this heroine as I'd registered, and my Schubert adoring daughter, my school resisting son, a fire undetected before. Doric strong nouns demanding, what would you undertake to stop tyranny? integrity, probity, courage. In benighted Munich, in the spite-eye swiftness of the unbossed blom of a crossed-out swastika, the fierce integrity and the gust of the word freedom sprayed on the walls, and ramparts of deranged fatherland that rent flesh as if it were full scalp. Someday you will be where I am now. A steely premonitory selfie proclaimed to the Rasputius Nazi tribunal that rushed her to execution gazer. Collector, in Clarity's name, look close, then closer. It's not just a bud sweet pensive beauty, a belle ragazzo charm. All these years, it's the spirit of crusading youth that I have cherished. The date was February 22nd. Hans Scholl and his sister Sophie, along with their best friend Christopher Probst, were scheduled to be executed by Nazi officials that afternoon. The prison guards were so impressed with their calm and bravery that they violated orders and permitted them to meet together one last time. Hans, a medical student at the University of Munich, was 24. Sophie, a student, was 21. Christopher, a medical student, was 22. This is the story of the White Rose. It is a lesson in dissent. It is a tale of courage, principle, and honor. As she licks the stems of her rebellion, she metamorphoses, both as the elements which will eventually defeat all cities, as young love. And I try to keep out for her regiments, trying to match my boot-heel tongue to her silky straps, so that she'll look up to me and see a freckled poisonous holly, and not be afraid. In fact, she'll recognize me as an old comrade, someone who fought together and rode together bareback. And as they turn her away to trial in the firing squad, that she should have me somewhere in her heart, to bleed out on the propaganda of snow. And in the moment of her lasting exhalation, give me the courage to ride out on my bicycle, skipping uniform classes, past orange groves and green copper canyons, never looking again until I'm past the old distinguished forts, realizing how I saw her last in the tidy sea, so that as some reflection she might swim and go away on that salty espionage which shall forever roar her name. Somebody, after all, had to make a start. What we wrote is what we believed by many others. They just don't dare to express themselves as we did. During the summer of 1942, Scholl and a friend composed 4 leaflets which exposed and denounced Nazi and SS atrocities, including the extermination of Jewish and Polish nobility, and called for resistance to the regime. The literature was prepared with quotations from great writers and thinkers, such as Aristotle, and called for the rebirth of the German university. It was aimed at the educated elite of Germany. The risks involved in such an enterprise were enormous. The lives of average civilians were monitored for any deviation of absolute loyalty to the state. Even a casual remark critical of Hitler or the Nazis could result in an arrest by the Gestapo, the regime's secret police. Yet the students had the right rose. The origin's name is currently unknown. Possibly it came from the picture of the flower on their leaflets. Risked all. Motivated purely by idealism, the highest moral and ethical principles and sympathy for their Jewish neighbors and friends. Despite the risk, Hans' sister, Sophie, a biology assistant at her brother's university, begged to participate in the activities of the White Rose when she discovered her brother's covert operation. On February 18th, 1943, Hans and Sophie left a suitcase filled with copies of yet another leaflet in the main university building. The leaflet stated, in part, "The day of reckoning has come. The reckoning of our German youth with the most abominable tyranny that our people have ever endured. In the name of the entire German people, we demand of Adolf Hitler's state the return of personal freedom, the most precious treasure of what he has cunningly cut Germans off." The pair was spotted by a janitor and reported to the Gestapo and arrested. Turned over to Hitler's People Court, basically a kangaroo court, for dispatching dissidents quickly. The Scholls, along with another White Rose member who was caught, were sentenced to death. They were beheaded, a punishment reserved for political traitors, on February 23rd, but not before Hans Scholl proclaimed, "Long live freedom." Students Hans and Sophie Scholl were arrested and executed over 70 years ago. The students and their friends had distributed leaflets calling out people to resist the Nazi regime and to stand up for what they believed was right. Today, they remain symbols of moral courage. And to end with the same words that Sophie ended her short life with. Such a fine sunny day, and I have to go? What does my death matter, though, if through us thousands of people are awakened and stirred into action?